Greetings everyone, I am Dr. Wolf and I just saw Toy Story 4. Now, there is a lot that I want to say about this movie, but in short, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, is it worth seeing? Does it measure up to the previous Toy Story films? I would say not really. It's not that great compared to the original Toy Story films because they set just a really high bar. These are some of the very best works of Pixar. Comparing it to the first few films, it's not going to stand out very much at all. With that said, is it worth seeing? Does it need to exist? Well, I'd say yes. In some ways, it is worth seeing, and in some ways, yes, it is actually worthy of existing. But there is a lot that I want to get into with this film, and I'll try to keep it as spoiler-free as possible. But for everyone who just wants to know, is it worth going out and seeing, I'd say, yeah, probably, as long as you are not setting it to that very high bar that the original trilogy set. Now, to begin, this is a story very much about Woody. In the previous films, you had other characters with their own story beats, and yeah, it was sometimes hard to say that Woody was the main character. Not so in this one. Woody is very much the focus, and even the trailers show Peep is going to be part of the focus, and you have a few colorful characters coming in along the way, like this Ducky and Bunny characters who are pretty much just there for occasional comic relief, and this Duke Kaboom motorcycle stuntman, and yeah, it's got a few fun moments with these new characters, but not that much, especially when compared to the original trilogy. But I will say I was a little disappointed that the characters we've grown to know and love from the first three films, like Jesse and Rex and the Potato Heads and Ham, they have so little to do in this movie. They are very much on the sidelines, even in the background. They're kind of just there, and yeah, I was really hoping that there would be more for them to do. And even in the case of someone like Buzz Lightyear, I mean, he's always been a major player in all of these films. So I was expecting to see what kind of story beats he was going to follow, what kind of journey he would be going on. I think they kind of stuck on this one point of listening to his inner voice a little too much, because that's pretty much all he has to do. He is occasionally showing up and occasionally interacting with other characters, but I think they really downplayed exactly what he's capable of here. I mean, in the first three films, he was always a delight to see. He was always so entertaining, especially when he's interacting with himself or changing into his more Spanish form. That was truly fantastic to see. And so again, it's a little disappointing that Buzz and a lot of the other characters we've grown to love have so little to do, or seem a little pointless being there. Like I said in the beginning, this is very much Woody's movie. And if we had to have a movie that was all about Woody, does it make sense for the journey that he was going on? In some ways, yes. In some ways, I can see the merit of this movie existing. Not near as much as Toy Story 1, 2, or 3, but I am still glad I saw it. For the emotional moments it did hit. For those even deep philosophical moments that really got to me personally. Now, let's take a look at a character like Forky, because from the trailers, it's made pretty apparent that he's going to be a major player in this. And to an extent, yes, he is kind of driving the conflict in the beginning especially. And he's kind of learning about what made Woody so devoted to kids to begin with, and there are some interesting conversations that he has. He has a few comedic moments here and there, and yeah, it's funny to see how much Woody has to really put in the effort to keep him from running away, but I don't know, he's not really the emotional climax of the film. He's asking very simple questions because he's a very simple mind trying to take in the world around him. But I think the emotional climax of the movie actually has to do with what Woody decides is best for the future. For him in particular, because when he starts showing how useless he feels, when he's no longer the head toy, and he's kind of very much on the sidelines in regards to this new character, Forky. And it asks the question, what do you do when you feel that you can't fulfill your life's purpose anymore? When you've been chasing after this loyalty for so long? Because for Andy, and even now to little Bonnie, Woody has devoted his entire self. And trying to imagine a life where that isn't the priority, it really gives him pause. And in the case of someone like Bo Peep, who, yeah, it's actually really nice to see her again. And I will say, what they used to explain her disappearance from movie 3 actually was really touching when they were finally able to meet together again and go on this journey again and trying to determine, where do I belong? And in many ways, what really got to me are the questions of, if I can't have this one dream, if I can't go out and fulfill what I've always known as my life's purpose, where do I go from here? I think it is a little clever in making some normal everyday objects like a spork into a character, because that helps to drive home the theme of the film. That this amalgamation of little everyday objects who thinks of himself as nothing but trash can be so important in the life of a little girl. And then having Woody think about those same things, about what kind of purpose he can fill. Again, without giving too much away, when this movie hits its emotional moments, and it does take a while to get there, because during the first half of the movie, I wasn't entirely sure where they were intending to go with things. Which, on the one hand, I like when a movie can do the unexpected. And there are several directions where, hey, I didn't see that coming. On the other hand, I was really questioning, does this movie need to exist until those emotional moments? Until those hard-hitting questions? And honestly, trying to determine what your life's purpose should be when you have spent so long trying to devote yourself to one goal, one priority, something that, yes, still has a wonderful amount of merit. But what if you're not the best person to fill that role? Or in this case, the best toy to fill that role. You may have been at one point, you may have been the greatest memory in the life of a child. But what happens when you've fulfilled what you feel that you're best at? And you keep trying to hold on to, well, this is what I've devoted myself to. I don't think I'd want to do anything else. In those moments, this movie actually does seem worthwhile. The comedy in Toy Story 4 certainly has its good moments, but not near as many as the original trilogy, in my opinion. I like some of the new characters, but I still think other films had way better roles for brand new talent. I'm still thinking of Barbie and Ken from Toy Story 3. Those two were absolutely fun and entertaining to watch. And whereas characters like Ducky and Bunny are partially fulfilling that same role and partially succeeding. But when this movie hits those emotional moments, when it gets you to sit back and think, what would I do in those same circumstances? I know I've talked on my channel before about striving onwards without your dreams. And when this film tries to tackle that same subject, I admit it did get to me, especially in regards to how much of an effect you have on the life of a child. I admit there were very brief moments where I turned away from the screen and had to realize this is getting to me. This is making me feel. And I hadn't expected that. I will say that Toy Story 4 is worth seeing for those few moments that really get to you, along with the laughs and enjoying all these characters we've grown to love for over 20 years now. I still think that it does merit existing. Certainly way more than the live-action Aladdin that I saw a few weeks back. And yeah, I imagine a lot of people will look at this film and say it doesn't measure up to the original trilogy. They shouldn't have made it. They should have kept things the way they are. If you can separate yourself from those kinds of thoughts, I think that this is something that will be entertaining and even thought-provoking. And yeah, one of these days, I think I would feel motivated to go back and watch it again, even for just those few moments. Honestly, I'm probably going to spend the rest of this evening thinking long and hard about the messages that this movie is trying to convey. I can probably think of a few ways they might have done it better, especially since there are a number of characters that feel superfluous, even though we've come to enjoy them so much over the years. It probably could have merited a bit more of a rewrite of the script, trying to focus its ideas better and give characters better dialogue. And yet, I still have to admire it for what it did succeed with. And honestly, I hope a lot of people feel the same way. For anyone else who has watched Toy Story 4 and knows the moments that I'm talking about, I would very much like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. It really did get to me. I don't know if it'll have that same effect on everyone who watches it, but I know it's something I'll be thinking about quite a lot. Maybe even weighing a little heavy on my heart. But I can still enjoy Toy Story 4 for what it is. And I do hope that Pixar, now that they're finished with sequels for a while, at least I hope, they'll come up with some really original ideas again and hit that high again. We shall see. Until next time, I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.